Hey guys, what up? It's Ryan here. It is 12:59 p.m. It is Wednesday, January 15th, 2020, and we are looking at the intraday ES. It looks like we're hitting a dip, which is really interesting. So what we're going to do in this situation, we've been typically on the up and up and up. You can see on the 10-day chart, and we'll even zoom out to the 20. It's been progressively going up other than this chop that we had last week. And what I am going to do is probably still look to get long here since we're in an upward trend. However, let's go to a different chart here. Let's go to a 5-day chart. If we start, it looks like we might be dipping down to a 5-day correction level, which would be around, like 3287-ish. So what I'm going to do, and let's see, 3280. Yeah, what we would want to do is zoom out. Let's go back. If we start to break these levels here, we would want to get in short. So I'm going to put in a short at 32 all the way down at 32. Let's put it down at 32.75 in case it starts just collapsing. So we're going to want to be down in this zone. The low is 32.77 for the day, so we're going to go lower than that. We're going to go at 32.7450, and we'll do 2 contracts short. So if it keeps falling through our price, we'll get a fill way down here. And if we go up, we are going to want to play above the high today because it's so swingy. If you see how high it's gone and then it's, it's dropped. We're going to go at 33. We're going to go above 3,300. That's a huge psychological number. So we're going to do 33.0125. So we're going to see if this price can get to where we need it to be. We don't know where this market is headed currently, so we're not going to try to guess. We're going to try to play with the trend. So if it breaks high and continues, we're going to benefit from that, especially if that happens in the GLOBEX. We might have to actually hold this trade. If it tanks out, and let's zoom out a little bit here to the 20-day, you can see that this is low, but it's not unfathomable. We were way below these levels just between, the 6th and the 10th. So if it heads back down to those levels, we'll get a fill short. We're not looking to take scalps and buy low here because we may just lose if we try to buy any of these lows because we're nowhere near the daily lows. So guys, I'm going to pause the video and we'll see what happens when we get filled. Our fill might occur in the GLOBEX, so this might be a longer time span, but right now we're sitting at 1:02 p.m. guys. Alright, I'll continue the video in a minute. Hey guys, what's going on? We actually did not get filled at our super wide entries until after the US session closed, and we are now the next day. We did get filled in the GLOBEX, so we put our positions back in after the bell from yesterday, and now it is Thursday, January 16th, 2020, and we did get filled. We are filled at 32.9975, and it looks like we are up 2 contracts and 800. So we're going to actually go ahead and close this trade now. And this is just an example of, for instance, with yesterday's session, we did not want to necessarily, buy a dip and short a peak because we weren't sure exactly where the price was going to go. It could have easily corrected into, territory that it was in on the downside. It could have faked out. It could have reversed. So what we have been doing here is just setting these ultra wide fills for where the price can go through. And if you visualize the chart like that, and you go outside of the highs and it breaks that new high, that is seen as confirmation. You may have a chance of getting filled. So that was the methodology there. So as you saw in the beginning of this video, which was yesterday, the entries were really wide, and you were probably thinking, well, why wouldn't you want to catch some of that action? Well, the problem is you have a way higher probability of losing in this type of zone here. And you can see in the GLOBEX it started going up, which is where we made our money, and now we're going kind of sideways, which obviously that's why we closed the trade. So we may do another trade today, but this is going to be the trade for the 16th. But guys, what this trade kind of shows you is just don't rush it. You can put wide entries and wait for confirmation. You don't need to buy market and jump on a train that may be derailing. For instance, we went all the way down to 32.81.17 toward the end of yesterday's session, and then the GLOBEX popped it all the way back up. So anybody who bought along this ridge as we were heading down, they ended up losing. They definitely got stopped out. So really lately what I've been doing, especially with all this volatility, is just making the charts and the markets confirm. And obviously, guys, we're in a massive uptrend. So really, the bulls are in full effect. It's only going to drop so much before it goes up. And what I've been wanting to do is, instead of waiting for it to bottom and completely missing, putting our entries outside of the highs, letting it confirm a new high, and then hopefully plowing up to a new market level, which you can see we were trading in these levels yesterday, and now we're trading at these levels ever since about midway through the GLOBEX, and then we got filled. Let's just show you so you can see it visually. Bear with me. Where's our little dot? Oh, our little dots aren't there. Sorry, guys. But anyway, so that was just 2 contracts. So you can trade 2 contracts if you have, I believe, $10,000. It might be $15,000 in your brokerage account. You should have the margin available, and it also depends on what percent of your margin they let you trade. I know TD will actually give you a better ratio than some other brokers that may require more margin. The problem is the minimum margin to get into TD is higher, so you just have to be aware that different brokers have different margins. If you're looking for a broker that has really low margins in general, it's going to be AMP. And they also would allow you to trade the E micros. We're trading the minis, and their commission is going to be substantially less than TD or E-Trade or any of those guys. But as you can see, guys, we just put our entries really wide. We let the market go through our entry, and we held the trade. And there you go. Sometimes you have to hold it for a little bit. We did have our stops way down. So if we would have gotten into a situation where an alert went off letting us know the price was dropping too fast, that's where we could just close the trade out. So, normally you want to always be looking at these trades, and when you get a fill, especially on the high side, during a GLOBEX session, you definitely want to manage that trade. So you want to have a wide enough stop to allow the market to move, and then you want to move that stop up, hopefully to even if you get enough of a win off that trade. Otherwise, you may have to just assume a little bit more risk. If you know it's going to go up, or you feel strongly it's going to go up, leave that stop wide. Let it move away from your entry, and then slowly start to gravitate that stop so you mitigate the risk. But don't put your stop so tight to where these little fake outs are going to get you. That's where money is lost. You're better off risking a wide stop that you taper as the trade starts to go in your direction, because there's no rule that you can't flatten out a trade. So you can always hit this flatten button and stop everything right on the dot. It doesn't need to hit your stop. If you see that the price action is moving to where the trend is reversing, obviously this is an uptrend here going from down to up. We're going sideways here. I don't think that I would bet that it's going to go further up, but if I did, I would probably put my entry above 33.10, because again, that's a psychological zone. I talk about that a lot. and 33.10 is where it's going to hit. It's going to bounce. It's going to hit. It's going to bounce. It got to 33.08. It's definitely going to go to 33.10. I can promise you that. But it is going to bounce off. And then once we break through, we would want an entry probably higher than that. We'd want an entry at 33.12.25 if we were going to go long, and that might take all day to get that fill, but it's well worth it because once it surges through that test, it's going to test and retest and short, and there's scalping and all that. Eventually, it is going to go through those levels. We might end up seeing 3,400. We might see 35 or 3,600. But you just have to be patient with your entries and make sure to slide them stops up as you start to get into profits. So there's my trade. It did take longer, but we made more money than usual. $825 on 2 contracts long, and that is January 16th, 2020. Thanks a lot, guys.